Hi, I'm Firas, and welcome back to BrandBucket Academy. In this episode, we explore what it really means to evolve your brand identity over time. Margot Bushnaq, founder and CEO of BrandBucket, shares insight on how to recognize when it's time to refresh your brand, how to navigate market shifts, and how to evolve without alienating your loyal audience. We'll also cover how to communicate changes effectively, avoid chasing short-term trends, and lead your evolution with purpose and clarity. Let's get into it. Welcome back. How you doing today?
I'm great.
Great. We're going to be talking about evolving your brand identity.
Okay.
Why evolution is necessary. First question I'm going to lead with. Why do some brands need to evolve their identity over time?
Their brands can be so closely tied to pop culture that as pop culture evolves, their brand also needs to evolve. If their brand is, tied to celebrities, those celebrities fade and new celebrities come in, and they need to evolve to just to go with the times.
Yeah. What are common signs that your current brand identity no longer fits your business?
I think if your customers start dropping off slowly. A fast customer drop-off can usually indicate something else, some other bigger issue at play. But a slow leakage means that people are either aging out of what you're offering or they're just becoming disinterested and you need a refresh.
How can growth or market shifts influence brand evolution?
Definitely, as you grow and your team grows and your customer base grows, you're dealing with many more different types of people. And you need to be able to speak to most of them, not necessarily all of them, but speak to most of them while still remaining true to your core values. You don't want to change everything about you and everything kind of what made you special from the get-go and what triggered the growth. You don't want to change that too much, but you should be mindful that there's now a whole bunch of other ears listening, and take steps to make sure that you're speaking to all of them.
Great. So next we're going to talk about deciding what to change. How do you know what parts of your brand to evolve and what to keep?
The parts of your brand that are very core to your mission need to stay exactly the same. You can change your tone. You can change the visual identity slightly. You don't want to completely do a redo where you're no longer recognizable to your original customers. If you're trying to attract new customers, you don't want to lose the old ones. But overall, the change should be gradual because you don't want such a seismic shift that you've completely reset your business.
With that said, I guess, what's the danger of changing too much or too fast?
Exactly that you alienate your current customers. They no longer feel you're no longer the company that they knew, and they no longer immediately the connection is severed and their loyalty is severed, and they withdraw their business and they go elsewhere. If you try to gain a new audience too quickly, it can look very inauthentic. If you're an existing brand and the audience you're trying to reach knew about you and was not using you for a reason, it can look like you're pandering to them to try to get their business because what they understand about you was the old you, and they don't understand that maybe you can serve them too. They just think that you're money grabbing.
Yeah. So with that said, what's the danger of changing too much or too fast?
The danger is alienating your current customer base. If you're no longer someone that they recognize, then they're going to lose their loyalty real quick, and they're going to move on to the next option. If the loyalty was the only thing keeping them around, then you've lost that customer. And if you change too quickly in a new direction towards a new audience, it can look very inauthentic. It can look like you're pandering to them.
Yeah. What role should your existing customers play in guiding or validating changes?
The more information you can get from your customers, the better. It can let you know if your messaging is resonating. It can let you know if you're actually solving the pain point that you think you're solving for them. Sometimes brands find out that customers are using your product in a completely different way than they intended. And just by listening, they can actually kind of incorporate that feedback and grow that piece of a business.
The rebranding process.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to rebrand one of your businesses, what are the things that you would take into consideration?
I don't think you can rebrand in the dark. You need to clearly communicate that you are going to rebrand or that you're in the middle of a rebrand, and you need to take your customers along with you in that journey. Otherwise, it can seem very sudden to your customers and very pointless. And so if you tell them the story of why you think you need to rebrand and the steps you're willing to take, then it's much more natural when it happens for the customers.
How do you avoid confusing the audience during a transition?
Well, all the changes need to be gradual, that's for sure. It needs to have some throwback to the old you. You can't be too different, too new.
Baby steps.
Baby steps. But then, as I just mentioned, it's all in your messaging and explaining why you're doing what you're doing, and making sure that your customers are part of your company at that point, and they need to feel like they're part of it, and they need to feel like their feedback was part of what drove your rebrand in the first place, and so they understand that they're being listened to.
Yeah. You're done with rebranding and you're ready to communicate with your audience, customers, partners, even sometimes employees. How do you do it?
Definitely recommend communicating after the fact. When you're going through a rebrand, it's for a particular reason, because your audience is dropping off, or you're not keeping up with the times, or customer feedback up to that point has given you an indication that something's not in sync. But that's the point where then all the decisions need to be made internally, and you don't put things out there for opinion, because it's going to be a mess. And if you get 10 opinions and you only go with one, 9 people are going to feel offended. So you take all of that information and you do your rebrand, and then you release it with full communication, full transparency as to why you had to do it, what you were thinking when you do it, what's changing, and hopefully not a lot of the very important pieces that make your company what it is are changing. Just some more cosmetic or maybe ethical views. And all of that communicating to your customers needs to happen pretty quickly out of the get-go, like the same day that you release your rebrand.
Sounds great. What is the difference between evolving your identity and chasing trends?
Evolving needs to come because of a fault in your business. So there's something wrong that you need to evolve for. Either you're not keeping up with the times, or you're losing customers, or your voice is off. Chasing trends is going to be just that. You're chasing them, and then the trend ends, and then what? You have to chase the next one. It's a never-ending cycle of having to change, and you're going to look so inconsistent at that point to your customers that they're not going to recognize who you are.
So the evolving of your brand identity would be more of a natural progression of how your business is changing, and you're kind of adapting to the business change, correct?
You don't want to be changing all the time. You definitely want to stick with your brand and your messaging as long as you possibly can. until it's necessary to change.
Yep. Okay. So, what mindset should founders have when revisiting their brand identity?
They should be revisiting it based on data, based on customer feedback, based on something not quite working. It shouldn't be based on boredom, that I'm just tired of this. And because you've been at your company much longer than any customer has been with you, and you shouldn't let any of your ego or emotions factor into an unnecessary rebrand.
Okay. What's your advice for a business that's considering a brand evolution but feeling hesitant?
I would try to figure out why you're hesitant. If you're worried that it's going to affect your business negatively, then I wouldn't do it, because that indicates to me that you're probably chasing a rebrand because of a hunch that something's wrong and not data that something's wrong. And so you shouldn't ever rebrand. Rebrands are the potential for a negative reaction to a rebrand is much greater than a positive one, especially if it's unnecessary and you can't explain to your customers why you did it. So
Makes perfect sense.
stay
Yeah.
the course until you really, really need to change.
Awesome. Well, perfect ending for this segment. Stay the course. Thank you. Brand evolution isn't about chasing what's trendy. It's about staying true to who you are while adapting to the changing world around you. A thoughtful refresh can deepen customers' trust, while a rushed or unnecessary rebrand can do more harm than good. If you're ready to explore names that can grow with your business or signal a fresh chapter, visit BrandBucket.com to find curated, brandable domains that support your evolution. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.